Radio V. Radio in TV. Radio in TV.
He's absolutely Jason, he's absolutely gay. He'll absolutely brighten up the darkest rainy day. He's funny and loves movies, he's smart and he's a Jew. He's an actor and an activist and wants to hear from you.
Hey everybody, welcome to Absolutely Jason Stuart, and here we go again. We're going to play this song twice. Welcome to 2015, and my new tech guys here. We got Patrick and Chris, and we're here with my guest, actor, comedian, producer, writer, host, everything, Tony Tripoli. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. We've known each other so long, and I'm so excited we're finally doing this.
Yes, I am too. I was saying to you in the when you first came in that the idea of the show is to get to ask people questions that I'm always too embarrassed to ask. When I see them in person. I'm much more a shy person than people actually think.
I don't think of you as a shy person, but I believe
incredibly. In real life,
really?
I just the idea. Because I'm just a naturally curious person.
Yeah.
So why don't we start with the obvious? You, God, for so many years, were the head writer on Fashion Police with the late Joan Rivers, certainly a comedy icon, and for me, I can't tell you how many times in my career people said, "Oh, you're similar to her," and I say, "Well, because she was such a big influence on me in the beginning of my comedy career."
Yeah,
she was bold and different and unapologetic, and came from an era of people who basically didn't want her. I mean, that's sort of where the comedy, that's what I relate it to, is the idea. There was always the breathiness, the trying to get a word in it, and even when she was the headliner of the show. Mm-hmm. That little piece of vulnerability was always there. And I always say that's the difference between some of the other more brash comedians, is that she always had that vulnerability. And you work on Fashion Police. How did the whole thing start?
It's such a great thing to hear someone else point that bit out. Because I agree with you. And
I met her several times.
People can't articulate that, where I really feel like you really hit it on the head. That, yeah, it was that. In her act, it was that sense of there wasn't enough time to say everything she wanted to say, and they were fragments, and it was just bits, and she would crack herself up, and can we talk? It was really just, we're here sitting at the kitchen table just hanging out like friends.
But you know what Can We Talk is really about? I believe Can We Talk is a way to hook people in so she could say things that most people wouldn't say. The
right.
idea that she was going to say something that was going to be just so awful.
Yes.
But she
it's
said
just
it.
Us. Can we talk?
It's just us.
It's not for the public.
We're best friends. Just you and I. Can we talk? Liz Taylor. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she, she was the greatest. She influenced everyone. She was the first comedian I ever paid my own money to see. 16 years old, Phoenix, Arizona. Bought one ticket, sat in the balcony, and my family owned a flower shop. So I went to the flower shop first and let myself in and made this gigantic, probably hideous presentation bouquet. And thought, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to go up. I'm going to walk up to the front of the stage. Since I have this giant flower, security will let me up. I will give her these bouquets. She will say, "Oh, darling, you're so cute. You have to come backstage, and we're going to become best friends. This is how this is going to happen."
Of course.
And so I go to the show, and I've got the flowers, and I go up, and security is like, of course. They let me right up, and I'm like, bingo, this is done. I get up. Looking back, I probably stepped on the biggest punchline in her show. I'm sure I just probably fucked her. And I was like, here. And she went, "Oh, thanks, hon, just leave him there." And then she went back on with the act and then the security was like pulling me back up to the balcony. And I thought, no, this isn't how the story goes, and that was, and all I wanted was a plant. You know how she would give away the plants on the stage, the decoration? And I was like, but wait, she didn't give me a plant. This isn't my best friend. And I was
For those at home, at the end of her
defeated.
show, she would make some people, and then she'd have these plants on stage, and she would actually give them to the audience member to take home, which is such a Jewish thing, because it's
totally.
like, oh, please, who's going to get the centerpiece at the bar mitzvah?
Right. Why
who's going to get it? Don't waste it. Take it home.
And by the way, every gig she ever did, she just did a Dodge commercial earlier this year. She just did it. Anytime there were flowers in the dressing room, she would say, it would be me, hair, makeup, the assistant, who's taking the flower? Who's taking the flower? Tony, you're not flying. You take the flowers. You have to take the flower. John, I don't need, we're not going to waste them. So you're right. It was very Jewish.
Yeah, someone's got this so beautiful.
And she would say, look, Tony, don't be an idiot. These are Miss Joan Rivers flowers. They spent a lot of money on this. This isn't some little shitty arrangement they put in the extras trailer. Like, they really went, this is a $250 arrangement. Don't be an asshole. Take it home. I've seen your house. It can use some flowers. She would, yeah, she was, it was amazing. But so what happened was I was,
how did it
I was
come
writing on this show called The Dish, which was the female version of The Soup, right?
Right.
Danielle Fishel was the host, and it was really fun, and we just watched a ton of television, which I loved, and you find the clips and make the jokes, and it was a great job. And it was summertime 4.5 years ago, and the Joan Rivers documentary, A Piece of Work, came out. And which
should have been Oscar nominated.
Really should have, yeah.
You know, if she would have died at the end of that, then it would have been
right.
You know,
and
4 years off.
So I went. I went and saw it by myself because everyone had seen it that summer, but I was doing a lot of stand-up and working, and I just never had time to go to the movies. And so I went by myself on a Monday night because I was like, it's going to leave the theaters. It's been out for like a month or whatever already. And I saw it by myself on a Monday night. I went to work on Tuesday, and I'm sitting there with the 4 other writers, and we're talking about it because I was the last one who had seen it. So we're all talking about the movie, and, I thought this was amazing, and I never knew this about her, blah, blah, blah. And while we're discussing it, my phone rings on my desk, and I'm like, hi, and it's the publicity department at E saying, we're bringing back Fashion Police with Joan Rivers, and she doesn't like the commercials. And she said to find 3 funny gay guys and get them to her house tomorrow, and we're going to rewrite the commercials. Do you want to go? I was literally talking about her at the time, and I was like, yeah. So
in.
I said yes, and I said to my bosses, I have to take like a sick day tomorrow or something. It's Joan Rivers. And they said, well, it's Joan Rivers. Yes, go ahead. And we get there, and there were 2 other gay guys, and everyone, I had like stayed up all night. I had all these ideas and all these little zingers, and it's like a commercial. So it's just taglines. So, just because it zips doesn't mean it fits. Fashion Police. Like, it was just shit like that. Like, right, try a little thing. And I'm just going on and on and on. And she would laugh, and when she would laugh, she would take off her reading glasses and point with the part that goes over your ear. And she would go, you, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, she's loving me. This is great. And after about 10 minutes, she takes her glasses off and she goes, I need to speak to you in the kitchen. And as she stood up, I realized I have not let anyone else get a word in. I have been so obnoxious and so pushy and filthy. And she's
probably panicked.
She's for sure.
I would think when you were doing it, you probably thought, I thought
I was on fire. But now, as we're slow motion walking to the kitchen, I'm like, oh, my childhood idol is going to tell me I need to fucking turn it back 3 clicks. Like, I'm being this is going to be so, and so we
Where
go.
are the flowers when you need them?
Right? So we go in the kitchen, we go into Melissa's kitchen, and the door barely shuts behind us, and she spins around with her bony little finger, and she goes, you are my new head writer. And I just went, what? And she goes, you're the head writer of Fashion Police. And I said, I only have 1 little television credit. They're never going to, she goes, let me handle it. It's done. It's done. And Joan would always say this thing. She would say, it's done. And that meant no one else, and that meant I'm laying my dick on the table, and believe me, they'll cave, it's done. That was what that meant.
Wow.
And I drove, Melissa lives in the Palisades. By the time I got home, E had already called my house and said, we have this contract for you to sign to be the head writer. Will you come in and sign this? She made it happen. She literally changed my entire life overnight. People say that all the time. Mm-hmm. It literally overnight, she changed it. Every job she had from that day forward, she made them hire me. Wow. And she would say, and what are you going to pay him? And they'd say the amount, and she goes, no, he needs more. She not only got me work, she fucking negotiated better money for me.
So did you ever get an agent, or you didn't need one?
I did, but my agent didn't handle any of the Joan Rivers stuff because she was a way sharkier agent than mine was.
Oh my God.
She was so incredible. And I mean,
I have to say the one thing in the documentary that nothing surprised me, except for the one thing. When she went to do the benefit for George Carlin at, I forgot, the Mark Twain Award.
Right, and she's backstage.
And she's backstage, and she says, I'm so grateful to be here. I'm paraphrasing it because they never invite me to these things. And I thought, oh my God.
It's true.
That, I just started to cry. And I saw recently Don Rickles, they gave him a big thing on Spike Network, and she wasn't on that. And I was shocked.
Never asked her about that because
I was shocked.
I didn't know anything about the special until it was like tonight on Spike. It was literally on that night. So I put it in my TiVo.
For those that don't know, they toured together for years.
So still, I mean, as recently as a year ago, they always did like 2 nights a year together because for so long they toured for months at a time. And
Right.
She loved him, and he just lost a son like maybe a year and a half ago. I mean,
I
very
didn't know that.
recently. And obviously he's 1,000, so his son was like 60 or whatever. But you know what I mean? Still, it's just sad. And I remember, Joan got flowers and went and took them over to his house herself. She literally hand-delivered the flowers
Wow.
because, she just loved him. And so they really were really, really close. And
Very similar in style, very
Of course.
similar. They were like the, two sides of this of a different of the same
so
coin.
I didn't ask why she wasn't involved with that.
I would love to
because
know
I
that.
hoped it was just a scheduling thing. But what I feared was...
Well, she didn't even have a video or any. I was just.
I feared that it was... I don't remember the name of the executive producer, but I wonder if it was the same people that do the Comedy Central roast, because I know that was a very unpleasant experience for her.
Mm-hmm.
And she had said, those people will never work with me again. Like, she knew she would never be asked back to anyone else's roast because she didn't get along with it. So that's what I thought it might... I didn't want to bring up a sore subject.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, do you have any? What are your, I guess, I'm going to say funniest. What are your funniest memories of her? Because I want to think touching too. I'm thinking both at the same time. What are your favorite memories?
She was
of
so... You couldn't... She just changed agents 2 years ago. And when she was changing from, I think it was ICM to CAA, they run all the tests, your Q rating and what, focus groups, and they want to get
Dear
all...
God.
And
on Joan Rivers, they have to do that?
They just, they really wanted to know what the demographics and the target audience, all that stuff. And they found out that the average Joan Rivers fan, as of 2 years ago, was 22.7 years old.
That's insane.
This is an 80-year-old woman at the time. Like, that's impossible for an 80-year-old average fan to be 22.7. And yet she did that. Like, everything about her was impossible to classify, right? Like, she was so her own deal. I will tell you, I had to explain to her what a lot of things were. Right? 81 years old.
Yes, I do remember a reference.
Was.
I was just going to say that. Well, why would she?
Right.
And I'm assuming most of my fans here don't know what bukkake is.
You want to live in a world where Joan Rivers doesn't know what bukkake is. I guess,
I don't even want to have that discussion.
So it was in a joke for Fashion Police, and she laughed when there were other people in the room, and then when it was just she and I alone, she was like, "Oh," she would always go, "Oh, what was that one joke?" Da da da, and then because she would act like she understood everything, and if people were laughing, she would laugh. So it had the word bukkake, and I explained to her what it was.
Well, let's tell the people at home because
it's when a group of men climax
Gay
onto
men.
a person. Well, it can be straight. No, actually started as a straight thing. It was a
Oh, it
Japanese
did.
thing. I believe it's a Japanese word. So it started in Japanese porn when a bunch of guys went empty on a woman's face, and then.
Oh,
it
my God.
got taken over by the gays.
and
I
that
guess.
you had the guts to give her this joke.
So
I would never be on this show.
So I explained to her what it is, and she was sort of silent for a minute, and I thought, oh God, what's she going to say? And she goes, so you guys do that so much now, you need a name for it? Isn't that just sublime? That's so the best reaction. I said, yeah, Joan, that's what we do. She goes, oh my God. She goes, in my day, maybe for your 10th anniversary, you'd let him put a finger in your ass. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it was such a simpler and it is true. I have 3 nieces, and it's like, I think about the shit that they're going to have to do sexually right out of the gate
Right.
because of all this porn on the internet and stuff. Like,
Oh, my God.
I mean, you think about your first sexual experiences.
Oh,
They were
God.
fumbly and they were so minor and it was so
Sweet.
sort of quaint. Yeah. And now it's like first time out of the gate, it's fisting and it's this and it's like that's starter sex. You got to build up from
So then
there.
this would be the perfect time to show a clip from your act. Because we worked together in Provincetown at the
Yes.
same club a couple years ago.
Oh, I loved
I
that.
forgot what the Vixen, I think it was.
Yeah.
And you were the later show, and I was the earlier show, I think, or the other way around. I can't remember honestly. And this is a bit that you had done. It's about gay men having sex. Why don't we play? It's called.
Just play it. It's
Where
better
do
probably,
you
yeah.
put? Yeah, please. Let's play this clip, guys.
People don't understand is that gay people, gay men, at a certain point, before you get in bed, you probably have to have that conversation about like who's gonna do what with whose hole. Okay, basically, let's just be honest. We're all grown. So on this second date with this guy, I had this particular conversation. This, just FYI, this is not going to happen. And everything was good. Everything was a go to proceed. So it was a match, I guess. As you can say, the puzzle pieces were going to fit, right? And so whatever. So we go on this date, and we go dancing. We have a great time, and whatever. We have a really good time. We go home, and I take him to his house. And we're in the bed, and we are now getting naked, and we're doing the kissing and the hugging and the stuff that you do right before. And he just, we weren't there. We had just begun. No one had even done anything. And he goes, "Sit on this dick!" And he goes, "Sit on this dick!" And I go, no, that's not gonna happen. We discussed this. Do not I remember we were eating Chinese food. It was so good. It was a little oily. But dude, you don't remember we had that conversation. Sit on this dick! And I have to admit, my heart rate was elevated. And I have been having a very difficult year, and I was not ready for this kind of a confrontation. And I said, "You know what? I do not care for your tone, and no, I will not sit on this dick." And he goes, "Well, you know what? You have a decision to make, because it's not like you're 18 or 19 and everybody wants you. So sit on this dick!"
Hey, I'm Dean Kane, and you are watching T Radio V. I'm watching it too. Right now. Seriously.
What it do? Is your man Money B from Digital Underground asking everybody to check out the Going Way Back Show, your home for classic hip-hop, raw and uncut. Join me
and me, DJ Always,
as well as Ty Teasy, bringing you the old school new news every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here
on T Radio V.
That's right, Radio MTV.
Hey, I'm Dean Kane, and you are watching T Radio V. I'm watching it too. Right now. Seriously.
I'm Zoe Williams.
And I'm Dr. Mark Goulston.
I'm Jeff Brown.
And we make up the Zoe What Morning Show. You can find us here on TRadiov.com every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I make you think.
He makes you laugh, and if I get a chance, I'll help you change.
Or make you cry with his attempts at humor.
Radio in TV.
Can you relate? We'll make it happen.
Look at you. What you doing?
Were you mumbling to yourself?
Hey, back there mumbling.
To them.
T Radio V. Radio in TV. Radio in TV.
Hey, we're back at Absolutely Jason Stuart with my guest here, comedian and writer and host, Tony Tripoli. We're talking about his work with Joan Rivers on the former Fashion Police show, which was probably one of the biggest hits on E. Am I correct?
Yeah, just second only to the Kardashians.
Which I can't understand because, and she hated the Kardashians, right?
Yeah. I should say no. She
Not
really
hated them personally, but hated what they were.
Yes,
what they
it really,
represented.
again, Joan was from a generation like there are a lot of hugely successful comics working today that Joan just didn't get, because now the sort of style of comedy where you get up and it's acting, Chelsea Handler, for example, her act,
Well, that
the
whole
gag
thing was
is
just-
that she's just riffing and it's not prepared. But of course she's very prepared. That's just her shtick, is that, oh, I'm so hungover and da-da-da. But, Joan just didn't. Joan was like, if you're doing a show, it should look like a show. It should be rehearsed and it should be polished, and I should know that you workshopped it, and you're giving me the best stuff, And so the idea that the Kardashians don't have like a skill set that they've worked and honed and perfect, that really did make her crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not just her generation; it's also mine and yours. I'm assuming too. The idea that they're famous is, I'm sure they're very nice people in their own lives.
I don't think they are.
Oh no, they're not.
I don't. I mean,
I try not to judge them as people because I don't think their show is real, and I don't think they're real. I think it's all
correct,
manufactured. So, for
but
those
I
listening
kind
at
of
home,
feel like they're that not real all the time, though. So while I think the show is completely not real, I feel like they're that artificial in all of their interactions 24 hours a day. I mean, they're just not the brightest people, except for Kris Jenner. Joan used to say, this is the smartest white woman I ever met in my life. That's what Joan would say. She's brilliant.
she's the one mastermind behind
brilliant.
all of this.
And I gotta say, Kris Jenner did Joan's reality show. Joan went on the Kris Jenner talk show when that was there. So we were, I've spent a bit of time with her, and I can only tell you wonderful things about Kris Jenner. Nice to everyone around her, smart, fun to talk to.
Not a personality,
cool
though. Probably a better person behind the scenes. I thought her show.
I would spend time with Kris Jenner any day of the week just for fun, because she was cool.
Really, I just thought she was really smart. But I thought as a host or something, it's a whole different skill set.
Yeah, the show didn't really work so well, but off camera, I found her.
Yeah, well, she's probably a great
delightful
producer, a great business person,
She understands
the business and everything, and how to create careers. Maybe she'll handle less. So doing the show has completely changed your career. I mean, I would think, because you were also on the Joan and Melissa reality show.
Yeah.
Then that was not a reality show. Come on.
Well,
come on. It was pretty planned. I mean, the idea that she went
docu-series.
Yes, because you went on before her. This is an episode. I cannot believe that you did this. You went on before, and there's one episode.
Yeah.
In London, I believe
Yeah,
it
I was outside of London.
Where
Yeah,
you
we were
bombed.
writing. Yeah.
And you wouldn't have done that.
3,000 people were booing me.
Did you do it purposely? Or
I
for the show?
Jokes about, like, the Queen of England, and, like, I thought that would be fun. I thought it would be okay to make fun of bad British teeth and things
old
like
jokes.
they're right. Like everyone makes fun of British food.
Exactly.
No, when you don't have an English accent, it is really like, how dare you come over here and make fun of us?
So that was for real?
Yeah, I thought it would be fun, and
I thought it was all
would
part of a
take
plot
me in.
line.
So no, so that was a mistake on my. It was not the best, but it was, it ended up being a really great episode, because you got to see, whereas you would think Joan would be mad because the opener is supposed to make your life easier, and she had to come out to a hostile, angry crowd and totally turn them around. But when she walked off stage, like one of the first things, the cameras were there. I saw the footage. She was like, "Where's Tony? How's he doing? How's he doing?" Like, she was so worried about me being upset.
God, because I thought that was I thought it was just a thing to do,
It was a really stupid thing for me to do. I thought, go big or go home. The cameras are here tonight. Let them see you really just having big balls. And then,
see, this is where you and I are so different. I would have been so safe and so, I would have been frightened. But that maybe you've done so incredibly well. You're so, you've always been really bold. I mean, I see the stuff that you did in Provincetown. The idea. What was the show called? Naked.
Oh, Dirty, Sexy, Funny.
Yes, and you were completely naked in the picture except for covering a few things. And then the other one, I Shit My Pants.
Yes, Tony Tripoli, Shit My Pants was the show before that.
Yeah, I would never have had the...
I've never been able to hang a poster in Provincetown. For some reason or other, all of the posters have been too objectionable for children to see at the ice cream parlors.
Seriously?
Yeah, they wouldn't let me hang I Shit My Pants because it had the word shit in it.
Oh, well,
Even though there was a little asterisk, no, that's still...
Well, yeah,
and then the other one, they were like, "You're naked, we can't hang this." And I was like, "But I'm making a silly face, and it's not sexual naked." And every bar has two men like making out, but they were like, no place would hang any of my...
Isn't that weird? Because you've done incredibly well there.
I enjoy Provincetown. It's incredibly competitive,
I'd rather
which
kill myself.
is heartbreaking.
I'd rather
to
kill
me.
myself,
Yeah.
you, and these two guys to go down and do a show.
Right.
For those at home who don't know what they make you do, and it's in your contract that you must go around and bark for 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
Black out a tooth and walk around and hand out flyers.
You're just begging people to come and see your
awful.
show.
It's just
very
awful.
humiliating.
And well, for you and I, certainly, because a drag queen can go out there and be in their costume and be really funny and interesting, but two gay guys that are,
Right, just ordinary guy walking up to you, hey, do you want to come see my show?
it's just like, why are you talking to me? Well, certainly for you, it's a little different than me. They go, oh, who's that? What I love is, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
People say to me, or they want to take a picture, and then they say, oh, we don't have time to see the show. We're going to see naked boys singing.
That's right.
It was quite a competitive
Line around the
time.
block for naked boys singing every night.
Yeah. So where are you playing next in your stand-up? Where you just got back from working in Puerto Vallarta?
Yeah.
And what was the club there? You were telling
that
me?
club is the Palm. I love it. You have to go down there.
I'm gonna do it
It's
if
so
they let
much
me.
fun. It's just a sweet, fun little room, and obviously Puerto Vallarta is the gayest part of Mexico, and it's all old Canadian straight people that have retired there that
Oh.
spend like the entire winters there, and then sort of like your young-ish gays. But it's like, your 30 to 60-year-old gays. Like, it's not a lot of, like, twinks running around.
Oh, great. Because you have to have the money to actually
Right, yeah, you
to
know what
fly
I mean? It's
there.
like, right, 25-year-olds, whatever. So,
They don't have the money to fly
it's fun. I really like it. Everyone's super nice. There's all these guys that I see every day at the gym here that throw me nothing but shade. And then you run into them in Puerto Vallarta, and they're like, hey, how are you? And I'm like... How am I? I'm the same guy that you won't fucking say hi to 364 days out of the year. But here you're friendly. So
Do they come to see your show?
Sometimes they do.
Do they pay?
Yeah, everybody pays.
Oh, good.
There's no comps. I'm so sick of that fucking comps. Don't you hate that when you do a show?
Oh, yeah.
And people are just like, you're like, first of all, the tickets are what, $11, right? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's 150 pesos for the show, which is like, it's like $11. Just fucking pay up. It's a fucking third world country.
It is the thing.
These people need to keep the lights on.
It is the thing about gay men supporting other gay men. And I think it is changing, but it's always been, my crowds have always been mixed, and I could never survive on just a gay audience, whereas someone like Kathy Griffin or Margaret Cho
Right.
or any of the Joan, of course, too.
Of course.
Any of the icons could, totally survive on that and thrive.
Yeah,
Why do you think that is? What's your take on that?
I think that it's not a nice answer. I think that gay men, as a rule, this is a broad sweeping statement.
Not all.
But I'm pretty comfortable saying all, but we'll say most. I don't think we ever really get over that fear that we had as young people. And it's that fear of knowing something's different, and the acceptance of one's peers. And so I think regardless of what your journey was to come out and your self-acceptance, I think gay men are not excited about supporting other gay men in show business because they somehow see them as more sexually viable than they're feeling about themselves right now, or who does that guy think he is? He's no better than I. And it's not that people in show business...
That's an interesting thing.
We're not saying I'm better than you.
Yeah,
it's just that I'm here being a mouthpiece maybe for our community in a way. I can say things on stage in a room with straight people here. I can say things to the straight people that maybe you can't say at Starbucks. This is only a good thing.
Well, I always think it's, somebody will say, what is it like doing a show in front of all gay men? And usually it's a benefit or some sort of...
It's the worst.
For me, I've been able to get past it now because I guess I've been doing it, it's 32 years in May for me.
Wow, congratulations.
So for me, it's I don't have the fear anymore.
Yeah.
I let that go, but I understand the fear. Totally, and I think it's because there's 20 guys in the audience that are just as funny as me. The only thing is that they can't repeat it. And they can't get on stage and do it. And I think there's that. And it's mostly, I'd say, the bear community, the political community, very, very supportive, the leather community. But the circuit queens, the muscle boys, those are the ones that are the hardest to get on your side.
No question.
Yeah. And they run the cruises and they run all the
Absolutely.
stuff. And
the worst I've ever bombed in my entire career, worse than in England, was on a gay cruise.
I love that you're saying that you bombed, because I bombed
Yeah.
too, certainly in life. Because people say, if you hear a comedian say, I never bomb anywhere, then they're lying.
Of course they're lying.
Yeah,
Look, Joan has an amazing story about bombing. And this is like 3.5 years ago this happened. This is like the height of Joan. Like Joan.
Really?
Yeah. She got paid to do a private party for a guy, one of the like 500 wealthiest people on the planet. He was bringing 500 people to South Africa for this weekend of party. And I think the Friday night was, Fergie was the entertainer, and then Saturday night Joan Rivers.
Jeez.
For just his
this guy had a little bit of cash.
Yeah. So he was like, "Here's the deal: we're sending a private plane was going to take Joan from New York to South Africa."
Jeez,
and
Louise.
then you'll get there.
Did you
you'll
go
have
or
the whole
no?
day? No,
No.
you'll have the whole day. You'll do the show. You have to do an hour. And then you'll have to do pictures with the birthday boy and his like immediate family. Then
She
you
would
can
do
have
that
the
anyway.
entire next day to do whatever you want in South Africa. And then that night, the plane will bring you home. Great. She signs a big bucket of money. She does it. She goes there and she says that she walked out, and after the first joke, she could tell it was that 500 people hated her fucking guts. And she said there was not one laugh, that literally it was a room full of people frowning and scowling with their arms folded. And, you know, you've got your hour, but if no one laughs, you've got 20 minutes. Because you just burn through everything. You're not holding for any laughs. And, you know, most of Joan's act is holding for laughs, really. Like, you know, so she was like, I was thinking of old Liz Taylor's So Fat jokes, but just saying Adele instead. Like, she goes, I was reaching to fucking fill that hour, and there not one laugh. And she gets off stage, and she says she was just in a flop sweat. And she says to the family, the guy's assistant, just give me 5 minutes to just dry off and fix my makeup before we do pictures. And the guy said, oh, that's okay. You don't need to do pictures. And she goes, no, the contract was that I have to do an hour and then do pictures. And he goes, no, they've changed their mind. They don't want to do pictures. The jet is waiting for you at the airport. And she says, oh, no, I'm not leaving until tomorrow night. And they said, actually, we've sent someone to the hotel to get your things, and you're going right to the airplane. And they fucking flew her out of the country that night. She bombed so bad, they had to fucking fly her out of the country.
You know what's interesting about that is that, you know, for us as comedians, and even as actors in the same right, if you're in something that's not successful, but especially a comedy show because it's so much you, the amount of stamina it takes to continue on, not just after a bad show, but after, you know, I think the hardest thing for me was when I was in the height of my success is the talk shows. And I haven't really talked about this much on the air. The idea that there are so few openly gay comedians on talk shows.
Oh, yeah.
As a stand-up.
Yes, absolutely. You can't even get booked. Yeah.
I mean, they say, well, so-and-so was on, or so. Yeah, well, that's after they came out and after they were famous. If you had Ellen on, it doesn't count.
That's right.
If you have, you know, someone of that stature. I don't even think Mara Cantone, who's pretty well-known, is on The View all the time, has done stand-up on any of the talk shows.
I've never seen him on do.
I know Bob Smith had done The Tonight Show. I know Leah Delaria had done Arsenio with Kay Clinton. I know that a couple of the Dana Eagle had done a couple of the Craig Ferguson and some of the others.
I think Tig Notaro's been on.
Tig has done
couple.
Jimmy Kimmel quite a bit.
But still,
she had to get cancer.
It's
you know,
right. She literally had to get cancer to get
on the show.
That's a great way to say it. She had to literally get cancer in order to get on television because she was hilarious for 15 years.
She opened for me middled for me in several places over the years before she even came out.
And I want to say in this story, by the way, Joan was no less funny that night.
Oh, it has nothing. For those at home, it has nothing.
The room just hated her.
It has nothing to do with that. It really doesn't.
Right.
I mean, comedy.
But can you imagine sitting on that private jet for like 20 hours, hating yourself,
and going?
Because you know,
did I lose it?
Yeah.
I mean, the point of this whole this discussion is that the talk shows also you start to go, am I funny? Am I just funny to this kind of people?
Right.
You start to question yourself so much, and I'm talking about myself. Basically, but I think you can relate so much.
Absolutely.
And then most of the other comics who have had unusual act. I mean, even, you know, some of the girl icons like Margaret Cho and Kathy Griffin. When Margaret Cho first came out, she was on everything.
Right.
It was like I'd never seen it happen before. Maybe Roseanne Barr had the same kind of thing, and Drew Carrier had the same kind of career. They just
But
hit
the two were both in the day where you went on the Tonight Show and you killed and you were a star the next day. Roseanne did the Tonight Show. Johnny called her over and said, "Oh my God, you're hilarious." And then
Margaret had done the show.
End of that era.
Margaret had done a lot of shows, but she didn't kill on them. It didn't always.
Really.
It didn't always.
Didn't get her.
Yeah, and one of the funniest people ever.
I love her so much.
Yes, but not always translated to a certain kind of audience. And what she did, you know, which was so incredibly brilliant, is she held on to what she was and said, "This is who I am. This is what I'm doing." And the same thing with Kathy Griffin over at the Laugh Factory. I mean, she did the same thing. I'd work with her and Janine and all these gals who did what we would call alternative comedy.
Right.
And bombing constantly. Sandra Bernhardt just did not, the crowd did not get what she was doing. And then the gays would come, and then they would become these iconic figures.
Yep.
So what it shows is that there is no such thing, I think, as a comedy for everybody. But yet when we would watch a talk show and say, hey, this person was boring to us, we didn't get it. There was no validation for that.
Yeah.
Or the fat girl at home.
I don't get Jeff Foxworthy as a fan, but I can go, that's funny.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good joke.
But we do that anyway, even if comics
Larry the
never
Cable Guy, that's
Yes.
not really I'm not going to
No.
do that. But I can at least go, yeah, he wrote there's a joke there.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not my style, but
Yeah, but we can still go, hey, that's funny.
But I don't feel like it's true in reverse.
No, I don't think so either. We'll be back in just a minute talking comedy here with Tony Tripoli and Absolutely Jason Stewart. Stay with us. I've never really had...
Hey, what's up? It's Tone Logan in the house, and you're tuned into T Radio V.
Well, you never lost, but you never won. 'Cause you never fought and you never moved on. You never lost, but you never won. 'Cause you never fought and you never moved on. You never lost, but you never won. 'Cause you never fought and you never moved on. You never lost, but you never won. 'Cause you never fought and you never moved on. Don't be afraid of looking back.
Yo, what's up, y'all? This your boy Crazy Bone.
Man, I'm the bum Keith G, man.
And whenever you sitting at home and can't shake the monkey off your back,
yeah,
then just know every Wednesday from 7 to 9
That's
p.m.
right.
You can tune in to the Quick Fix and get your fix on, man.
Right here on TRadioV.com, baby.
Radio and TV.
Now, how they gonna see us on the radio then?
Radio, I don't know. Or is it TV and radio?
But it's
one of them.
I gotta figure this radio and TV thing out though, bro. I don't understand. I'm gonna
Get it
tell my
together.
mom how she gonna see
Get
us.
it together.
T Radio V. Radio in TV. Radio in TV.
Hey, we're back at Absolutely Jason Stewart with my guest, comedian Tony Tripoli, and we're talking about comedy. And for the lack of a better description of all of this, I also want fans to know that at home, I'm not bitter at all. It's a sad thing, but it's not a bitter thing for me. It's a sad thing because I have to say, both of us have been incredibly lucky in this business because there are so few openly gay men. There's we can count probably 10 that have had careers that are long, and most of us have had careers, actor, writer. Comedian, writer,
of course,
actor, comedian.
Yep.
We always have a second thing attached to us.
What I think is amazing about you, though, is that you get cast so consistently, and you're out. So it's not like that, and it's really hard to get a gay guy cast in something. They get much more attention by putting a straight guy and letting a straight guy play gay, and then they get all this press for that in the project. And isn't that brave of him to play gay?
The only brave thing is that what's he going to wear to the Oscars, or what's he going to wear to the Emmys?
Exactly.
Yeah,
but
it
you
has
really, I know you get hit but I see you as someone who's broken through that in so many ways, which is really admirable and really
I appreciate
testament
that.
to your,
I always think that I have gone by and people haven't noticed. Sometimes I always think I'm in my own apartment doing my own career by myself. I put myself on tape so many times in my dining room.
Yeah.
I have an incredible career in my dining room.
Yeah.
When you put yourself on tape, it's like you use the computer and you put yourself on tape and you send it to different people in different states to get cast. I just did Sleepy Hollow. And I'm sitting here in my living room, in my dining room, sitting there, putting myself on tape again. It's an incredible career.
Wow.
You should see the parts that I haven't
It's like
gotten.
when people say I'm big in Japan. I'm huge at my house.
My dining room, I'm a star.
I could get a table anywhere in my own home.
Yes, we can move right to the dining room. We can move to the breakfast.
Joan used to always give me shit because I'm not in love with New York. Like, and it's not that it's just that
she still lived there, really. She never really moved.
Absolutely. She had that golden palace, right on the park.
Can I just say it right now? I'm sorry, the worst taste, too much for me. Wait, and that jewelry that she sold that everybody loved so much, my God. I was thinking to myself, who is going to wear this? Well, all the women that look like Joan Rivers. My mother loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of
that house. I wanted to go in there. Less could be a little more, Joan.
No, there was no such thing as less is more. It was definitely, I mean, her joke was, this is how Marie Antoinette would have lived if she had money.
Exactly.
That was
before her head
how
got
gaudy
chopped off.
the place was. But
even Fashion Police, the set. I want to say, can we move those two fluffy stools? Was there discussion of that? Because that's we just
none of it. No one. We didn't have any say on that. That was all done by the network and the art department. And
I'm sure she had a thing with the ball and the two fluffy stools. It was way too much for me. I think that's where we just went.
What's crazy is on Mexico, they do Fashion Police in Spanish, and it's all Jonathan Adler furniture. So they bought all the same furniture. They have the exact same set, same rugs, same fluffy chairs, same everything. And then they have a female comic that leads it, and then a gay guy with no socks who laughs really loudly at all of her jokes, and then two other women. And it's like watching our show with people talking gibberish. I mean, obviously it's Spanish. I don't mean to imply it's gibberish, but it's so weird how they follow the format so exactly, and it's very, very popular. But yeah, it's cool. But I was about New York. Joan, I'd been to New York once before I started working with Joan. And then I went to New York quite a lot, working with Joan. But I would just say, it's just a hard city. Like, I'm used to LA. You get in your car, you go, you do, you run your errands. Here, you're walking. I can't find things. It's subways. It's tricky. There's a learning curve. And she would just say, I can't believe that you don't love New York City as much as I do. And I said, no, Joan, let me be clear. I love your New York City. Like, when I'm with you in a full fur coat, getting out of a limo, walking right in, that New York City is freaking great. It's just regular person New York City is kind of tough. That was the difference. But
right.
She did.
She didn't get that.
Didn't.
With a fur coat that she had from a million years ago, that she didn't buy new fur coats. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
They were really old fur coats. And
yeah.
That's so people didn't know that about her. She wouldn't have bought a new one.
No,
not at all.
She had a lot of faux fur or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That people assumed was real, and she let them assume as such.
Just to say
because it was thought it was fun that people got pissed.
She was like family to you.
Oh my God, it really was. It was worse than losing my grandmother, because my grandmother had been sick for a very long time, and so you prepare mentally. What's coming, and my grandmother hadn't been my grandmother for a number of years when she finally went. So it was just a sense of relief.
Right.
But with Joan, I talked to her on a Wednesday, and then on Thursday morning, I got a call saying, "Have you seen the news?"
I was in New York when it happened. I was living in New York doing some audition. I think I was trying to get a part in a film, and it was everywhere. It was everywhere, and I thought, oh man, this is it. I couldn't imagine how it could happen. And I don't know who said it, but the tweet that I thought was the most was just perfect was too soon.
Yeah.
81 too soon, which is that's what's so shocking.
Yeah, it's so weird. I mean, I just bought a house a year and a half ago, and it was my first house, and that obviously in Southern California is a huge blah blah blah.
Oh God!
And Joan, was not gonna not have a hand in that, so she was, she was selecting properties for me to look at, and I was like, Joan, that's not quite my price range, but thanks for the tip. But And
$10 million is not.
Oh my God, it was so funny. Well,
she knew what you made. She did the deal.
Yeah, exactly. But so I was going through that process, and when I was finally going to go and sign the papers the next day, and I said to her, look, we have to have an uncomfortable conversation, but I'm going to go and sign these papers. It's a 30-year mortgage. Like, I need to know, you have to promise me that you're not going to die for 5 to 8 years, because I have to get out from under this. And she laughed, and she was like, oh, I can promise you 10 to 12 years. Don't worry, you're fine. And it was so weird that then it was just like 15 months later, she was gone. And I was like, oh, I'm such a dick for saying that to her. But, like the things that you remember the conversation. And she, she had talked constantly about when the day came, and there was no...
Well, there was even an episode that she talked about it very touchingly on the reality show with Melissa.
So, it's good when someone goes and that there's nothing left unsaid. And, I asked her once, recently, in the last year, I said, is there anybody that you're dying to meet?
What'd she say?
And she was like, no, I think I've met anyone. She was like, she's like, I want to meet Rihanna. I think it would be fun to talk to Rihanna because she just loved her fashion, her style, and her sense. To be that
I would think that you'd say Rihanna.
No, really. To be that, she just was like, she's so self-possessed to be like 23 years old or whatever. Like she's really, so there were a couple that, she wanted to meet Lady Gaga. They became friendly. And that was kind of like the last big one that she really wanted.
Did she get to meet her?
Yeah. She spent, a few times with her, and she was at Lady Gaga's restaurant in New York with Barbara Walters and Cindy Adams.
Right.
And they brought over like a bottle of wine.
Cindy Adams, everybody, is a big columnist in New York.
Yeah, and they were three women of similar age, and they would get together like once a month and have dinner. And they used to joke that the three of them were going to get an apartment together and have 2 live-in male nurses, but for the 3 old ladies. And that was just going to be, it was going to be like this little Mormon compound.
So basically, when you stop writing, you'd have to be a nurse.
Yeah, that was what they had planned. And
because that's what we really want to do.
But the management came over and said, oh, this bottle of wine is, Stephanie sent this over. And, Joan said, oh, thank you so much, thank you. And as
Stephanie who?
Well, Lady Gaga's real name is Stephanie Germanotti, I think.
Uh-huh.
And but so Joan says, "Oh, that's her real name." And Joan said to the waiter, "Oh, is she here?" And they said, "Yeah, she's the brunette right there at the bar." And Barbara Walters, she came over, talked to them for 20 minutes. Barbara Walters had no idea who that person had been when she walked away from the table. Joan, they're all talking to her for 20 minutes. She walked away.
Yeah,
and
she never.
Barbara Walters, who is that Stephanie girl? She was like, "That's Lady Gaga." And Joan was like, "No, I've interviewed Lady Gaga."
That's so
Barbara
funny.
Walters just insisted that could not have been Lady Gaga.
That is too
I'm sorry,
funny.
Joan. No, I've met Lady Gaga.
Well, God, so she was like family. And I want to, before the show ends, I want to show another clip of you doing a bit about Thanksgiving in Arizona, which is a cultural wasteland. I just want you to know.
It is.
Yes, and the fact that you're so hip and cool and you came from there is just so bizarre. Let's play a little clip. We'll do a couple minutes from that because I want people to see how funny you are.
Home to Phoenix, Arizona, because that's where my family lives, and look, it's we all go home for the holidays. Everyone goes through it. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. You're kind of dreading it, but then you're getting ready and you're like packing and you're like getting your itinerary ready and like everything's all planned and like whatever, who's gonna water the plant, and then you start to get that feeling, like a tingle and like that feeling in your stomach where you just wish you were an orphan. It's like it was like that, and I didn't want it, but I went, and I knew it was going to be a fucking shitty trip right from the time that I got to the Burbank airport. Dennis, my roommate, dropped me off, and he's like, "Bye, have a good weekend." I'm like, "Whatever." And all of a sudden I hear this toot toot, and like I kind of look, and this guy in a convertible pulls up, and he like toot toots to like this girl, and this girl comes out, and she's all like, "Hi, oh, it's me," very happy. And the guy has like a whole turkey just on his head, like this hat that was made out of like felt and beads and feathers and shit, like a full-on whole turkey on his head. And so she's like, "Oh, honey," and I look around and everyone, it was like a movie, like all the extras were like, "Oh." And then I catch myself in a plate glass window and I'm going. But I was like, "I hate you." What the fuck was that about? And I go to Phoenix, and Phoenix already is loaded for me, not just because it's where my family is, but also they have all this stuff in Phoenix that we don't have here in Los Angeles. And I don't mean just a conscience. I mean like Whataburger and Chick-fil-A and Sonic and Red Lobster. And oh, I love Red Lobster. Like, don't let this clingy t-shirt fool you. I am a cheesy biscuit eating motherfucker. Yeah, I will eat a cheesy biscuit. I will eat the ass out of a cheesy biscuit. Like, don't even, right? I will. Like, I don't care. I do not need my seafood to ever have lived in the ocean. That is not a part of it. Whoa, I don't give a fuck. The shit is affordable and it's covered in butter. And I go, and when I go to Phoenix, I just chew and chew and chew and chew, because obviously it's because I, don't want to talk with my family, but it's like we're just eating.
Hi, I'm Sheriff John Bonnell. You're watching T Radio. Radio and TV? What? Perfect. That was perfect. Why are you asking me to do this after 12 drinks?
Well, you never lost, but you never won. 'Cause you never fought and you never moved on. You never lost, but you never won. 'Cause you never fought and you never moved on. You never lost, but you never won. 'Cause you never fought and you never moved on. You never lost, but you never won. 'Cause you never fought and you never moved on. Don't be afraid of looking back.
Radio V. Radio in TV. Radio in TV.
Hey, we're back with Tony Tripoli here on Absolutely Jason Stewart. We were talking about getting older in show business or just in life and how it's how unprepared. I feel completely unprepared. Because are you willing to let yourself get older looking and not be so perfectly?
It's so horrible.
The way does your
well, first of all, who's more critical than gay men? And we are
Jewish women.
We are really? Do you think
both? I
don't know. I just feel
so.
Like,
I get from both.
Yeah,
ends.
Exactly. I just feel like as much as we love performing, we don't perform only for gay people.
You can't.
But
there aren't enough of us.
We're single men, and so we want to be attractive to other gay men, right? So it's not that that's our only audience, but that is sort of maybe the first audience that we're thinking of in terms of making life choices.
And women is our second.
Right, but we want to be thought of as attractive. We want to be able to attract other gay men. And it's hard. And, you cross 40 and you go... first of all, we don't see a lot of gay people on television, single gay people that are dating.
Not over 35.
Are 20, exactly.
Over 35,
what's a 40-year-old gay guy who's single dating even look like? We're making it up as we go along because there's nothing in media that sort of shows that.
Well, we're played by straight people, and we think, God, they're really good. And some of them are playing us. I mean, I was in Love is Strange with Alfred Molina and John Lithgow, and they're both in their 60s, and I think John Lithgow is 71. And they looked they were extraordinary in the film together. And certainly, you think when I got to be that age, that's the kind of role I'd love to be able to play in a film. But in order to get that famous, for them to want you to be that, you would have had to have had a certain kind of career in your 20s and 30s to have that go into that.
Yeah, people get so excited.
That's the problem.
Ian McKellen, look at him. He gets to play all of these out gay roles. And I'm like, yeah, when's the last time anyone blew him? In any of those fucking brave gay roles he gets to play that are such great roles.
Well, come on, he's like 75 years old.
I know, but it's just like...
And he doesn't play gay roles anymore. He's some sort of... he's in The Hobbit, and he plays the ruler, and he looks sort of like Cher,
he does
with the
really
blonde
look
wig.
like Cher on her last tour.
Yeah. If you turn back time,
It's crazy. It's a really, really hard thing, and I think that, first of all, show business doesn't know what to do with us because the story of the middle-aged gay guy has never been told unless he was dying or nursing his lover who's dying. So that's why our
tour should call We're Not Dead Yet.
We're not dying.
We're not dead yet.
Technically, yeah. It's, but so as we were talking about on the break, so what do? You have to make your own opportunities.
You have to create your things, yeah. I created a web series last year that's playing now called Mentor, and it's basically Curb Your Enthusiasm meets Louis C.K. show, and and we all play ourselves. And
those are really good shows.
Yeah, it's about the idea that I started mentoring kids, in the last 10 years. And
is that like a dating thing or
no? It's
real mentor. Is it mentoring?
No, yes, because the kid in the show is straight that plays the lead mentee, I guess.
Yeah.
And what happened is that he started mentoring me. And he started reinvigorating me in what I'm doing in my life and seeing the possibilities and seeing the way other people think of you. You know, you don't really know what other people think of you, and you don't really...
and you always assume it's negative. You always assume when you smile at someone across the room and they don't smile back or whatever, you assume it's because they hate me, they're not attracted to me, when really they feel like they have something stuck in their tooth from the muffin they just ate, and it was never about you at all. Like, we're so consumed with being the stars of our own movie all the time that we really have a really fucked up perspective.
Oh, I think so.
And that is the blessing and curse of being the middle-aged gay guy. Because, you know, you compare us to straight men our age, and we look amazing.
Oh, God, yeah.
But, you know, for gay guys, we clearly like cheese. Right? It's just a different sort of criteria. We're really, really shitty to one another.
So where can people find you if they want to find you?
Oh, you find me on Twitter, you know, at Tony Tripoli, or Instagram at
So
Tony
your website,
Tripoli.
does your website have all this stuff?
Yeah, TonyTripoli.com.
And it's Tripoli.
Yeah, that's
really,
right.
really easy.
Tripoli.
And what's up next? Is there something we can look out for?
I don't really know. I just worked on 3 pilots for different networks behind the camera. And,
writing and producing?
Yeah, and they were some really fun projects. So one of them got picked up. The other 2 were waiting. I'm kind of going to have to choose between the 3. So I don't really know what the next thing is because I'm no longer with Fashion Police. That the show has, become...
It's going to be with Kathy Griffin, and she's bringing her own posse, as they say.
Right, and so, and it's such a... Obviously, E needs the show to continue, but it's kind of an uphill battle. It's a dodgy thing for them.
So see whether it works with someone else.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Or it's just going to be just a different show.
Right.
Well, we look forward to seeing you. If you want to find me, if you forget Tony's name or how to spell it, just go to jasonstuart.com, Stuart, and I will turn you on to him. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hey, talk to you guys next week. Take care.
You are watching T Radio V, Radio and TV.